sun sets, the undead awaken. To slake their hunger, they feed upon the herd of unaware mortals. Right beneath our noses, the kindred clash against their rivals as they vie for control of the city of San Francisco. Are you strong enough to cheat Final Death and see another night? Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game from Renegade Game Studios.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Vampire Wednesday, coming at you live tonight with myself, Matt Holland, and Matt Hyra. How's it going, Matt?
Hello, going well.
It is deep into Prince of the City season, and we've got a new pre-order today. We've got all sorts of goodies to talk about, and you have a little bit to share in a second here too. But first, congratulations to our princes from this past weekend, Robert Jordan out of Burbank and Robert Day out of Newington, Connecticut. So congratulations to both those guys. And Robert Jordan, Leverix Jones, will be joining us next week on the stream for a little recap interview on the Burbank event, which I believe was our largest one so far. Kaldarian, thanks for tuning in from Iceland. Huge fan of Iceland. Can't wait to go back. Glad to see that we have a coterie starting up over there.
Sweet.
So welcome to the stream.
I was actually at the Burbank event. I had judged it.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about how was it? You obviously got to see people playing at Gen Con, but
Yeah.
This was your first time seeing it in the wild, I guess, in a little while.
More, where people know, everyone knows how to play, and there's a lot more cards to use. So
True.
It was great just seeing the mix. There was everything. There was Thin Bloods, and there were scheme decks and conspiracy decks and combat decks. What else? Everything. Ritual decks, yeah. And I
believe the whole event was a masquerade, right? A lot of people were in costume.
Yeah. About half the people showed up in some form of costume. Pretty cool. I had a judge costume on. That's about that there. And the event went super smooth. No issues. No misplays.
Awesome.
One person mixed up the end of turn sequence. That's all good, and everyone's like, just do it right. And no harm, no foul. No penalties. No penalties given out. Everyone had a good time. Friendly, quiet atmosphere. Yeah.
And I understand the final table was kind of a bloodbath, right?
It was four. Yeah, it was four combat decks. And all with different tactics. You'll hear about it next week. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, it got real dicey. There was an attempt at what would have been a winning play that got dragons roosted, but I'll let the interview next week go into more detail about that.
Cool. Yeah, and the winning deck I think is a really interesting deck. We will talk about it next week when we have Jordan on the stream.
Yeah. Everybody, two of the players were down to their last prestige. It was so hot and heavy. So
jeez.
Very exciting.
Fantastic. And we actually did have Katie, who runs the stream, was in attendance too, took some pictures, shot some video, and we're hoping to get a nice little trailer that you can use to show people hey, this is what it's like going to one of these events, interacting with the community.
Yeah, get some of those images to go along with the interview. So that'd be good. Yep. If possible.
Indeed. This weekend we've got stuff happening in Fort Collins, Colorado at Griffin Comics and Games and at Atomic Empire in Durham, North Carolina. So good luck to all the players who are attending those. If you are not attending one yet, and you're nearby, reach out to those stores, get in there and play some Rivals. The weekend after, the 28th, San Antonio, Texas at the Dragon's Lair, and then overseas to Vienna, Austria. So lots of stuff coming up. We also did just post the registration link for the Paris Prince of the City event. That was one of the very few that did not have a way to sign up. That is now up. So if you're European, want to go to Paris, is that the City of Lights? I think it is. That is your opportunity to go there and compete for control of the city. But
Funny, I lived in Fort Collins, Colorado for a couple years in my youth. So glad to know that they're
On board.
that they're on board. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, we also did. I don't know if I've actually announced it on the stream. Star Wookie reminding me though. We have a tournament in Canada now, Toronto. So I think it's 401 Games in Toronto. Their Vaughan store, which is I believe a suburb of that town. So those of you in Canada, I know some of you have been waiting a while to get news about a Canadian event. We've got one in Canada now. So go over to the vampirecardgame.com/prints, check out the list, get signed up. But tonight we're here to talk about the Heart of Europe. Now we have already previewed the Prague City deck that comes in that. If you have not seen that, go back to our stream from Renegade Con. Went through the whole thing, all the new mortals, the new events, the new Second Inquisition, the Team X operatives, and that's going to be on its way to change things up. But we're going to dive into the player cards here tonight, starting with the cards most associated with the original 4 clans: Brujah, Tremere, Toreador, and Venture.
Yeah, we're going to kind of go in order so that it builds up, the oldest stuff first to the newest,
Yes.
So
we'll have some new vampires, some new goodies. That expansion is now available to pre-order as of today. So head to the Renegade Games shop. You can order. We have the EU and UK stores for folks in those areas. And we're excited to announce that if you're in Canada, Australia, or New Zealand, you can now actually order direct from our main shop. You will have to pay shipping. So if you can find some people who want to go in and team up, that'll save you a little bit of money. But you can absolutely order direct from us in the States, in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
Just buy a case yourself and sell it for double on the street corner.
You open your trench coat and there's just Vampire Rivals expansions.
That's right.
Additionally, not quite as public, but also available to anybody who is interested, the next round of OP kits is available for pre-order. So if you already have access to order kits, you have access to these. If you do not have access to order kits, but you have a local play group, or you're going to run things at your store or whatever, and you would like to get kits, reach out to me. You can email me, matt.holland@renegadegames.com, or hit me up on Discord, and I can flag your account for access to those kits. These new ones have 8 cards, 2 sets of tokens in each kit, so it's a bigger kit, able to support a larger community, and they're the same price. So reach out. Coyote's asking, will any of these OP kits be out before Gen Con, and will they be legal for the Gen Con conclave like Victor Crane? Once we have a hard idea of when those will actually be in customers' hands, we will make that announcement at least a month before Gen Con on the legality of any of those promos. They've been on the boat for a while. They should be arriving very soon, but the shipping world is such a disaster right now. I don't want to say something right now off the cuff and then have it not be right. So if you want OP kits, reach out to me. If you can already get them, you can order the new ones, pre-order those. But I think without further ado, people came here to see spoilers, and I feel like we should give them some spoilers.
Sure thing.
Katie, take it away and show us. I think that's Sarka.
Sarka, yeah, we're in Europe now, so we get to have some fun new names, right?
I love the art on this. I mean, Joyce generally does really great work, but this is just like very, I don't know, there's a danger to it.
Yeah, and there's some there's some shadowy figures in the background who are looking to get a pummeling. So yeah, so Sarka is a Brujah vampire BP5, 1/1/1 in the attributes, and a guard. 1/1/1 makes for a pretty good guard because you're never going to take full damage from anything except aggravated, of course. And you can block.
It's the first guard that's not one of the 3 blood potency, right? So you got a little bit more wiggle room.
There's been a 4 out there, maybe. There's 2 4s out there. This is the first 5 BP card actually, and with 2 celerity, and the guard ability, using the fleetness reaction that's good against ranged and physical means +4 shield. So that's going to be a nice little combo there. Now, this is a party ability that Sarka has. When a character in this party blocks an attack, they steal 1 blood from the attacker. So if Sarka is down a point or 2, maybe from a second in position or a previous attack or whatever, hey, block away and mend that up a little bit. It'll certainly make having the 1/1/1 stats, it's the equivalent of having 2 stats in everything when you block, right?
Sure. So 2 questions. One, is the
You haven't
damage
looked at these
assigned?
cards. Yeah, you haven't looked at these cards yet, have you?
Yes. So for people
Yeah.
who are tuning in, I generally don't like go through these cards a lot in advance, other than just prepping them, because I think it's kind of interesting to see them for the first time on the stream, like most of you. So 2 questions. One, is damage assigned before I steal that blood? So like, can I heal a damage I took blocking that attack, or it has to be before?
No,
Okay.
this is a triggered party ability, and so when you make that block, you're going to steal. You're going to be stealing that blood from the attacker. So you're even going to have a chance to do activated abilities and payment abilities after that, long before damage happens. So yeah, it's not going to heal you instantly from the damage
Sure.
you're blocking. It's going to
Which is totally fine, and I suspect would be how it works. Before my second question, what we do in Elysium is wondering, this works with Roost, right? Can the Dragon's Roost acting character steal the blood?
Yes, that is blocking. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So my second question, I suspect I know the answer, but let's say I'm playing Tremere and you're playing Sarka here. You've been stealing, blood with your characters off of mine as you're blocking. Can I then spend that blood to fire a ritual?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Nice.
When you steal blood, you're stealing their color. So yeah, I mean, every part of the game has an upside, and some of them have a downside. But we'll see. If you're you may not want to be blocking the Tremere aren't that aggressive, or maybe they will be soon. Who knows? Maybe you play your Tremere aggressively, but they're not. They like to hang back and play rituals, but sometimes they attack.
Yeah, it's not a peanut butter and chocolate combo, but it just was interesting to me, like a weird interaction where they're like, oh, hey, I'm actually okay with this.
Yeah. So if you're worried about Sarka, play rituals. You played blood sorcery rituals, right?
There you go. Let's see the other Bruja option. I did this right. Yay. Kirill. So Kirill is a 6 blood potency.
Yeah, big guy.
2 physical, no social, but 1 mental.
1 mental. He's got the spread of disciplines there, and a different attack ability here. Attacker, this character has +3 influence this turn. So I'm sure people will quickly learn that this is good with the promo card Annabelle that's going to come out. Kirill is a character from one of the Paradox video games. I don't remember which one, or if it's even out
really?
yet. Yeah, there's a few in here actually. So I assume that's cool. Okay for me to say that, because I think they've previewed some of these characters. I just don't know if we've seen.
So I know that's a question people have asked.
I'm sure someone in the
past,
will know.
will some of the Blood Hunt Coyote saying. Some people have asked, will some of the characters from Bloodlines or other games show up in Rivals? And it sounds like the answer is yes. It's quite possible.
Anything's possible, yeah.
So the +3 influence.
Yeah.
Obviously works with Annabelle's ability.
Yeah, but it also works if you want to
first action attack, second action play a scheme.
Yeah, if you're going to play Kirill, you're going to want to attack with him as your first action, and your second action could be a scheme, could be a title, whatever you want.
Okay, cool. I think that's pretty neat. And on to the Toreador, we've got Maya, so a 4 blood potency.
Yeah, I think she's from Blood Hunt, it sounds like. This is a 4 BP, 1 physical, 1 mental Toreador with Auspex and Presence. Attack ability, as when she's an attacker, she deals +1 damage to the target for each event in play. So take advantage of the situation and get out there when the streets are at their most dangerous and or interesting because of the events going on, and mix it up. Yeah.
So Interestingly, I mean, edge case, but with the events that we're using at Gen Con, there's the one that only goes away when you take out Second Inquisition. So you could potentially have
You could.
one
Yep.
more event than normal in the
Yes. Yes.
streets or in the play.
True. Yes, that event might be hanging around little longer, and certainly Maya will be looking for that, and the other players may want to get rid of that event if she's on the table.
With I mean, how popular Hunt the Hunters has been right now, maybe they won't be out there that long, but who knows? There's a lot of
Yep.
things to
True
possibly
enough.
change things up
Yeah.
in this expansion, and even just with Shadows and Shrouds.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
Sokotep saying, great art. Yes, this is another really good one. And Marth asking, will these be legal for Gen Con? So yes, Heart of Europe will be legal for Gen Con. We're targeting a late June release date for this. It's already on a boat. It's already headed to the warehouses. It has been for a little while. We've just been trying to get our Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand friends covered, and figured this was a great time to launch this pre-order supporting all of the customers. So the plan is these are legal for Gen Con and will be out in late June.
Mhm.
Emil here, first thing that jumps out, 7 blood potency.
7 blood potency. Yes.
That's a
Yes.
lot.
Well, we're in the old world, so there's some old world vampires there.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, so stats go up at 7. So he's a 0 physical, 2 social, 2 mental. And the 7s also, older vampires, they don't, they can learn other disciplines. So we've got Dominate on this guy who normally,
okay.
Yeah. This isn't to say that, 7 costers would always go into other disciplines, but that's just a cool
it's
thing.
within the realm of possibility, at least.
Yeah, we just wanted to get in there with some of that. So yeah, this character, as you can imagine, has a bit of an FAQ. We're not going to go into that right now, just because that ability is going to be is definitely going to sound a little weird. So you may ignore city deck events. That means if you don't want to go to, have he's in Prague, but I'll say something that most people know, like a meeting at Alcatraz, right? You could just say, no, I'm not going to go to a meeting at Alcatraz, things like that. Now, for a card that's just like
Chinese New Year,
yeah, that's not something that you can't negate it, but you can, you don't negate events, but you can, if it is something that would affect you or positively affect someone else, you can ignore that. And that's mentioned in the sizable FAQ, and I'm sure that we'll have more questions when it comes out. To continue, when this character defeats a mortal or character, you may shuffle 1 event from the city deck burned pile into the city deck. When that event leaves play, remove it from the game. So
a lot of control over the city deck here.
Yeah, and bringing more events into play is going to help Maya, obviously. So
sure,
that should be good. Yeah. Now, of course, how do you know which one it is? Well, it should be pretty obvious, when it's like, hey, everybody, I'm putting this event. Yeah, I'm putting this event back in. If you need to, write it down, whatever you need to do. It's usually going to be, when you see another, when you see something that you don't like, you're typically going to notice when it comes around a second time. But indeed,
yeah. The miniature guy, maybe you should change your name to the card guy, but he has a quite valid question. Will we see any vampires of 3 in an attribute, especially like some of these old world ones? Is that within the realm of possibility, or is it a never say never, but not currently? What's the word on that?
It's not currently, not in the Heart of Europe expansion. It's something that's possible. It's pretty amazing to have that, because you could take out a citizen without spending a card. True. and still having a character ability. But yeah, it's something that we have looked at. We've tested it, and so far we're not going there, shall we say.
That makes perfect sense. I will also point out that Emil is one of the 2 vampires that you get an alt art version of when you pre-order. So Emil, which is the Toreador here, and then Sebastian, which is another 7 blood potency, but La Sombra. He is available as a promo as well when you pre-order. the expansion. So after, I think it's Ventru next. Yes. So
Yep.
M, the 4 blood potency Ventru vampire. So
He is from Blood Hunt as well.
2 at the start of your turn, if you control 2 plus havens, gain a prestige. If you control 3 havens, also gain an agenda. I have a lot of questions.
Right. Well, see, when you're only seeing one card at a time, you may not exactly know how that's possible. So there must be a way for that to be possible, right? Must be.
I mean,
Yeah,
otherwise this is not a very good card. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So right, it's a good way to gain some prestige and a good way to gain some extra agenda if you can manage some extra havens, but hopefully there's a way to do that.
Jeez, foreshadowing. Oh, well, hey, here you go.
Well, hey,
Maybe I should have done
hey,
these in the other order. That's the issue when I don't read them in advance.
You could have, but you're going from small to large, apparently, is the,
Oh, so Borek
it's all good.
Wagner
Yeah,
happens to share a name in common with a certain Bruno Wagner. Are there any relation?
of course. Yeah.
And not as much of a shoe collection with this guy, though?
No, it does not run in the family. He collects keys, though, keys to havens. So
Okay.
he's a big bruising 6 with a 201 attributes. He's got the spread of Ventru disciplines. At the start of your first turn of the game, reveal 2 different havens from your collection. That means outside the game. That means you get to bring along a little deck of haven cards to taunt people with, but your rival chooses one of them and you attach that haven to Borek, who then gains the leader ability of that haven, which is going to open up a world of possibilities.
Yeah, geez.
Note that this would not work with the big house because that has a start of game feature, and this is a start of your first turn of the game. So you can't suddenly become a Diablerist with Borek here.
So this, this allows somebody to run Dragon's Roost and something else, or 2 other havens that synergize in an interesting way.
Yeah, you can run
cool.
Dragon's Roost and something like the Dockyards or something that can protect your character. You can mitigate some damage with an extra haven attached to him. So
I think all the deck builders are just
I know
the gears are turning in their head about possibilities right now.
Now they have to look at every single haven that they've been ignoring and saying, yes, but if this was attached to a guy, how amazing would that be? So
yeah. And I now have to talk to the guys who run our deck builder to make sure that they add this functionality to the deck builder.
Fair enough. Yep.
Pretty neat. Let's so what we do in Elysium, what if I have bought multiple copies and have one more so can you run multiple copies of the same haven?
I believe we have it in the FAQ, which I should have read before this, but I think the answer is no, because your collection is one of 1 to 3 of everything, not multiple copies. So
gotcha. And that would make sense, but
yeah,
valid question.
Yep. You can choose something, of course, that someone else has in play. So because that's totally fine.
True. Oh, and actually, the miniature guy bring up an interesting point. This just says reveal 2 different First off, it's 2 different havens from your collection, so you can't do duplicates anyways. That's covered.
Yeah.
But you don't actually. I misread that as you have to bring 2 different havens and choose one, but you actually can play any haven in the game and switch it each round of the tournament if you want to, for each game.
Each round of the tournament, because it's gonna you can decide, like, okay, well, my healing haven or my damage prevention haven probably doesn't seem like it's going to be necessary, so I might as well put something like House of Pain on him.
So the miniature guy, you can bring your whole collection of havens to choose from. So there's lots of possibilities.
And
we're only 6 cards in.
Yep. And of course, he works very well with M. So if you're lucky enough to draw M early in the game, you are going to it's called step 1, step 2, and step 3 is profit, right? So there you go.
Yes. Sokotep asking if your Boric is your leader, would he benefit from 2 havens then? He would have basically 2 leader abilities?
Yes, correct.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Wild.
Yep.
See, it's
Now,
so much
you
more
don't get
fun when I don't look at these in advance.
right. Now, of course, you don't get the secrecy for, in your haven, because that's
Mhm.
not a leader ability, that's a haven ability. So there you go.
That makes sense.
All right.
So the Malkavian side of things,
Yeah.
Renee Koba.
Renee Koba. Yeah. She's looking pretty deranged there. One social, 2 cost, 1 social, aspects. When you play a card face down outside of an attack, mend 1 blood on a character in your coterie. So yeah, she's like, she triggers at the same time that the governor does. But this allows you to mend just a character in your coterie, though, not torpor. So pretty good for a 2 cost though.
Yep, and if you're already going to be playing face down cards, conspiracies or things like that, it's just more benefit for that.
Influence modifiers, yeah.
Satyr Jester pointing out that now the rival's goal is have the whole collection of spot glass plastic havens to bring along to every game, and just throw your binder on the table to really flex on your opponents. So if you want that, got to come to Gen Con or your European version.
As you move back and forth from your haven to the streets, you'll eat away at the tablecloth. It'd be great.
A to the J815. He's saying here, should this be place a card right? Going back to the mental block rules question.
Yeah. we kind of in the core rules, we kind of had used play in place to mean the same thing when really it shouldn't have. So we are possibly updating governor to use the word place. When you see play on a card that's mentioning face down, it should be place. Gotcha. This is another thing we should have mentioned maybe at the top of the show, is that we're adding that to the rules update. Yeah, to the rules update. Just because now we're getting a lot of cards that actually matter for that. So when you see the word play in relation to face down cards, it is actually place. Play means the card is resolving. So whether that's an action out of your hand or flipping an attack or a reaction, those things, when they resolve, they're played. So unfortunate that we kind of didn't catch it early on, that we were using the words kind of interchangeably. But yes, she works with conspiracies and influence modifiers, things like that. So
okay, so this one was just too far down the pipeline by the time that decision was made, essentially.
Correct. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
That's the thing with all of these, the lead time from when Hyra and the team started designing this stuff is a lot.
Well, when we figured out that it was kind of like, oh, that's unfortunate, we had already, the Wolf and the Rat was already in the can, and we're just like, maybe we can get away with not changing it for a while. But now that we're kind of getting into a serious amount of cards here, the wording matters a lot. Sure. So yeah,
we'll cover it just like we do with Govna in the rules clarification document. There'll be an entry for Renee.
I might make a complete list of, what cards work where and everything. But for instance, the old post office FAQ in the rules update mentions specifically that yes, this does work with Govna, even though, because old post office says place the card face down, right?
Gotcha.
Which is why you're able to place a card that has a BP or a clan type that you don't have, because you're not resolving the card, you're placing it. So
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
yeah, so
that is one Malkavian.
I'll do it before Gen Con just because that'll be important.
Clear up any
confusion. That's one Malkavian, yeah.
Perseus is the other one.
Perseus is a big brutal 5 BP, 2 physical, 1 social, 0 mental, aspects and obfuscate. So you can tell there by shoving a large book down someone's throat that this probably has something to do with cards and or library. In this case, attacker. If this attack deals 1+ damage to the target's controller discards 1 card for every 4 cards they have in their hand. So
So people
Alejandro
who are just drawing
does
madly
not
with their
like
university
this.
library and stuff.
Yeah. You might want to wait a little bit to draw when playing against Perseus with your library. Yeah. So it's pretty easy to find people with 4 or 5 cards in hand. 8 cards in hand certainly happens, especially if University Library is your favorite card. So this is going to put a little crimp in your style.
Ghost Cat points out that he's starting to think that maybe these vampires have a little bit of a violence issue. I will say I did see some art in this set. I don't know if we're looking at it tonight, but there is some. They're definitely up to no good and displaying situations you would not want to find yourself in a night in Prague. So be prepared.
Yeah, I think the 2-cost Malkavian Rene Koba is probably, it's one of my favorite pieces of art in the set. It's certainly the most disturbing. So
it is. It has just it's like an offset, like a off-putting, like unsettling look. Well, I think that's all the vampires. Let's see what else
I think
we
so.
are showing off.
But there's more.
The guard tower. So the guard tower is a haven.
Yes.
So notably, no native secrecy like most of our havens.
Yep.
Guards in your coterie have +1, block while blocking.
+1 shield while blocking. Yep.
Shield.
Yeah.
And then also guards in your coterie deal 1 damage to blockers. So when they are attacking.
Yep.
So that makes them more versatile on both offense and defense.
Correct. So the story here, that's a famous tower in Prague there. I forget the exact name. I'm sure someone will know it. So yeah, you don't need secrecy necessarily when you are an expert at blocking. So, and guards are. So +1 shield while blocking is just as good as secrecy. And because you are so familiar with the tricks of the trade of blockers, you deal more damage to a blocker as well.
Sure.
And to make sure that you have someone ready to block, you get to ready a character at the end of your turn.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So this is a haven kind of enabling maybe a play style that we haven't really seen, but gives you some options here, especially when you might be able to run multiple havens.
Yep.
Next up, I think it's an agenda. So this one I think is gonna
turn some heads.
Interesting.
It's gonna turn some heads.
Yeah, a lot of options here because disheveled shelves. If your rival's library has no cards in it, you win the game. If you would cause a foe to discard cards, you may have that foe draw that many cards instead. So I see that as a double-edged sword. Having them draw is advancing your win condition, but is also giving them options with which to defeat you or to advance their own agenda.
Yes, people have been wondering, gosh, will there ever be a mill, classic mill strategy from TCGdom? And now there is. So yes, when
mill, real quick before we run past that, mill comes from an old Magic card that was like the corn mill or the flour mill, whatever it was, and the
millstone.
There you go. And you won by running your opponent out of cards.
Yeah.
This is now become a term just used generally in card games for digging through somebody's deck.
Sorry for the lingo. So, but notably, you're not throwing cards into their discard pile. You're throwing them into their hand, which is going to give them some advantages early in the game. And, they're going to be able to mend every character they control every turn. They're going to be able to attack into the most secretive of havens, and they're going to have a reaction for every attack against them. So with a card like Perseus that we saw before, if you're not running disheveled shelves, you can actually cause them to discard. But if you are running disheveled shelves, you can actually make them draw more cards. And as they get more cards in their hand, Perseus will cause them to discard, yet actually draw that many more cards, right? Because you can turn discards into draws for them.
Jason Conlon, I believe out of Australia, is asking, can the player being forced to draw instead of discard, draw from their faction deck rather than their library?
Absolutely, yes. It does not. It does not stipulate just from drawing from your library. Whenever you have a draw available, you can draw from your library or your faction deck.
There you go.
So
Yeah, this is
yes,
an
if you
interesting take on the mill,
right.
sort of thing where you are giving them tools. I'll
Mhm.
also point out that the normal winning on 13 agenda, that's an actual feature of the agenda card, right?
Yeah, yep.
So
This card
this
does not
this
have
can't
it
win
on purpose.
on scoring agenda. It
That's
has to
right.
win by mill.
Indeed, indeed.
So a lot of options opening up if for a way to play a little bit different, and just a thing that players who are not playing disheveled shelves need to be aware of that exists.
Yep.
So a little bit of a maybe limit on just wholesale use of university library where
Mhm.
all cards are always going to be good. Just keep in mind.
Yep. All
I think
right.
that's very interesting, especially with, is it spy games where you steal a rival token?
Yeah. Yep.
Like
Fact
spy
that.
games, disheveled shelves, and just wait for someone who's drawing cards like
Well,
mad.
however, stealing that you don't actually have the victory condition of disheveled shelves, though.
I'm
If you
saying
steal
that
it.
player with disheveled shelves
Oh yeah,
taking
sure,
the rival
sure.
token of someone who
Of
has
someone
drawn all their
who's yeah,
cards or
someone
almost
whose
all their
deck is
cards.
down to 2 cards. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would work for sure.
Interesting. I'm always
Yep,
looking for ways to use spy games in some crazy way to blow
naturally.
things up.
And yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, so you can also, if you want to make someone draw a card to stay alive, you can hit them with like a destroy the plans, and then they would draw 3 cards instead of discarding 3.
Hmm.
So
Coyote is pointing out maybe there was a ruling on constant surveillance that a person could win with 13 agenda even if their agenda is blanked.
that is correct. Yes.
Okay, so but that would not apply to disheveled shelves.
Correct. I guess I'll have to. I should have looked at the rule book before I started here.
We will have an
We'll have
answer
to.
closer to
We'll
release.
figure that one out and get back to you guys. Yeah, I think maybe the win condition. I think the win condition should always apply. So yeah, I would have to say that constant surveillance doesn't turn off winning at 13 agenda. It would not turn off winning if your rival's library has no cards in it. Make
Okay,
sense? Did I say
so
that correctly?
yes.
The
I think
constant
the
surveillance
question that people are
doesn't
still wondering
sure.
is the winning on 13 just a universal game rule, or is it directly tied to
Yeah, I
only an agenda that has
think
it?
we said that it was, but now we might have to amend that slightly or consider it.
Gotcha.
But I believe that agenda win conditions should probably always be on, and whatever else the agenda does is what's turned off. But I will double check that and see what's in the rule book.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we'll post something later
Yeah. Yep.
tomorrow.
And we have got, I think now just some different cards. So this one is not tied to a particular clan,
Yeah.
but Title Fight does superficial damage, but it's equal to the blood potency of a title attached to the attacker, with Prince counting as 7. So this is, superficial, just to remind everyone, cannot deal the last point of
Defeat.
damage
Yeah,
and
can't
defeat
defeat a
someone.
target, which includes a mortal. but
But
I'm not
you
sure
can
why
whack.
you would need to do +4 or 5 damage to a mortal. Anyway,
True.
yeah. So this clearly, you can imagine the Ventrue should be excited by this card, and it might convince some people to go for Prince, because who wouldn't want to do 7 damage as Prince?
It's like, oh, you've got 3 vagrants.
Anyone,
I don't
just knock
care.
anyone down to 1. Yeah, doesn't care who you are.
Oh, and I think the miniature guy mentioning that this is really good with Sebastian, who is the other alt art. He's the La Sombra. I believe he can play a title on him for free.
For free,
We haven't
yeah.
officially previewed him, but you can see him on the pre-order announcement because he's in that little card fan of promos. So yeah,
he'd be pretty good to round 2 or late in round 1. You could grab a title, throw it on him, and title fight somebody down to 1, and then say, "Have fun with the T-Max." There you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is a brutal card, but it's nice to have that superficial damage to allow a really wild effect like this that doesn't just
Mhm.
one shot any vampire in the game.
Yep.
On the Toreador side of things, cover charge. This is an action, event, and ongoing.
Yeah, this is
So
another weird one. Looks like
yeah,
we're,
wait a
we're
minute
getting
here.
real weird. Yeah, your mind just got blown. Yes, it's an event that you play to help your event style deck with
With Maya
Haruza and
or
Maya.
yeah,
Yeah.
Maya.
So you play this into the streets and you place one prestige on it from the general supply, just as if it were an event. It's now considered a city deck event. But for a foe to attack a character with presence, that foe must first give you one prestige, and that is any character with presence, not just your characters. So, because obviously characters with presence get to go into the club, and if you don't, if you want to attack them,
Excuse me, I'm an influencer.
you got to pay the cover charge.
So miniature guy asking a very valid question. Are we going to see any other events in decks in this box?
Maybe not here, but it certainly could happen in the future.
It definitely opens the door to this as a
Yeah,
as a thing that may occur.
We'll see how this one works out, how disruptive it is. It will require a few extra city deck sleeves to be hanging around so that you can, in case it would get reshuffled by someone like Haruza or a Chinese
Sure.
New Year or I guess Bohemian Carnival, things like that. So yeah, having a couple extra sleeves.
The Artan, this does go away at the start of your next turn. You place the prestige of your color from the general supply on it. So same as the others.
Yep. That's why you put a prestige of your color so that you know it goes away at the start of your next turn. Yep.
And this could be shuffled back in by Emil just like any other event, correct?
That's right.
Cool. That answers the miniature guy's question.
Mm-hmm. And this
voter suppression. Yeah. So this is the Bruja only card, the Bruja specific card.
Mm-hmm.
An unhosted ongoing. When a character exerts influence against a scheme you play, that character loses 1 blood. First question I have. If I am a vampire acting and exerting influence, and then am killed, does my influence go away, or have I already exerted that influence and so it's spent?
The influence, yeah, in order to, when you exert influence, you're putting it into a pool. So yes, if you did manage to die that way, it would be your parting wishes would be for this scheme to fail, right? So yes, sure. You would add that. You would continue to add that.
Okay. And then this, you can exhaust it. The target character in your coterie has +1 influence during this action or event. So a nice little way to boost your influence and make it harder for people to counteract it.
Yep. So people might be wondering, oh, why are the Bruja doing events and things like that? Well, they are a pretty political group. We wanted to focus on their turf war style in the core set, but the Bruja are already pretty darn good. They don't really need their gangster ways bolstered right now. So we wanted
they don't need more help with the aggro.
Show off a little bit more of what they have going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed this art too. Like very atmospheric with the like lens flare kind of.
Oh yeah.
Really good job to the art team and all the artists who are working on these. I've seen some compliments for Shadows and Shrouds, and then this looks to continue just elevating the art. So bank error in your favor. Somebody's played a little bit of Monopoly, I see.
Hey, you got it. Yes. So Malkavian Conspiracy. Play it face down. If it has 2 prestige on it, you may resolve it during your turn. Target foe who did not contribute draws 3 cards. So you could certainly use this to aid a foe, but more likely you would use it in a Disheveled Shells deck because draw 3 cards is going to help you run them out of cards eventually.
And I love like they're like, oh, bank error in your favor. You get these resources, and like you do, but they're Poison
Yeah.
pill.
In playtesting, when people play this against you, you usually do something like, "Oh, thanks," So as you can
You
imagine,
shouldn't have. I mean, no, really, like you shouldn't have.
it's like I really needed that 13th, 14th, and 15th card in my hand. Yeah, great.
And I think I've got one more card to show y'all.
Dun dun dun.
Must be Venture, right?
Must
Yes,
be.
it is. Property developer. So this is an action. Pay
Ooh.
1 prestige. Attach 1 haven from your collection to your leader. They have leader abilities of that haven. So this is how my
Ooh.
question, my unspoken question from earlier is, how do I get that 3rd haven? Property developer.
Yes. So you can, if Borek is your leader, you're going to get 1 extra haven real fast, leader ability of the haven. But throwing a couple, you're probably, let's be real, you're going to put 3 of these in your deck if that's your plan, and you are going to go to town, and you're probably not going to draw all 3. So. And with Borek being a big 6, he's probably going to last a while. And by the time you get that 2nd haven attached to him, I guarantee one of those is going to be, not guarantee, likely that one of them will keep him healthy. So yeah, you can build up a real beast of a dude.
So attach havens, do those count as attachments?
They do count
Okay,
against
so they take up your
the
slot.
3 max. Yep.
And then, yeah, you can have potentially a bunch in play. That's pretty interesting, I think.
Yep.
You probably don't want Borak to be your leader in most cases, because then you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Whereas if you have a different leader, they have 1 leader ability and Borak has the other, potentially 4.
Well, if your plan is to go for attached havens so that you can get M online, Borek is probably going to be your leader.
Okay, because then he'll be out.
Yeah,
it from the
it's your odds of drawing him quickly are not super awesome. So best get your haven plan going quickly. So yeah.
Well, that is just what, 4 cards from the clans, 2 vampires from each clan, and I think 3 other cards. There's a lot more in the heart of Europe, and we will be previewing the rest of it here over the coming weeks. Next week is going to be not preview, so I've got that interview with Leverix Jones queued up because I'll be out of town. But the week after that, we'll get right back into it with the Thin Bloods and Tremere and some more of the just general cards in the pack. So there is a whole lot of options.
Matt, can you go back to
Borek?
I think we misremembered him.
At the start of your first turn of the game, reveal.
Yes.
So yeah, he would need to be your leader if you want to use his shenanigans.
I think we were interpreting that as start of the first turn that he's in play. No, it's the start of your first turn of the game. So he does have to be your leader. Yeah. We were misremembering that.
Good catch from Leverix Jones himself.
Yeah, look at that. It's almost like some Prince powers have been put into play here.
But yeah, like I said, the expansion's up for pre-order, whether you're in the UK, the EU, United States, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand. Go ahead and place that order. You can get the free promos for pre-ordering. You've got a lot. Oh yeah, Insomniac, actually the first one. First time chat too, and the first one to catch the whole Borek ability thing. So get your pre-orders in. If you are looking for OP kits, you can pre-order the next round. If you don't have access to the OP kits, reach out to me directly and I can hook you up. We've got a lot of stuff coming up, Prince events that are happening all over the place. We did announce our Gen Con events 2 weeks ago, last week. Head over to the vampirerivals.com website. The top news post is all of what's going on for Rivals at Gen Con, as well as details on the prizes. That registration for those events is open, so you can go ahead and sign up right now. Somebody was talking about the plastic spot glass havens. Those will all be at Gen Con. You'll be able to get a bunch of havens and agendas to really kind of bling out your play area in your collection if you are interested in that. Jason Conlon asking, friendly local game store is able to get the promos or the Renegade direct order exclusive? Great question. There are the early release kits for Heart of Europe that are in distribution, definitely in the US and should be in distribution in other countries too. Stores can get those at no cost. They have stickers to put on the box at the store that says free promos. They've got the promos. They've got a little bit of point of purchase for you to put on the counter talking about it. If you are outside of the United States or a brick and mortar retailer that wants to carry stuff and you cannot get the promos through distribution, reach out to me. I can probably help you out. And stores can get promos in the US. Stores can register with me to get access to a whole bunch of promo goodies for different pre-order campaigns, and they can get those as well. So yes, in general, Jason, friendly local game stores can get these promos. Your online retailers will not have access to those. It's the brick and mortar stores, that you can go down the street and buy from, that we want to make sure have the sort of the level playing field. So you can point your store to me if they have questions. Matt.Holland@renegadegames.com. I'm always happy to answer questions or help people figure out, the best way to get hooked up with that.
I saw there's a question from A to the J. Yes, a player's burn pile is different from the City Deck burn pile, but the cover charge becomes a City Deck event when you play it. So it would go to the City Deck burn pile.
Yes, indeed. So that's all for tonight. Check out, make sure you know about the Prince of the City events happening near you. If you have some free time tonight, I highly encourage you to stick around. About 30 minutes from now, we're going to be airing the very first live play of Hunter the Reckoning 5th edition. So Vampire the Masquerade is all about the creatures, that are operating in the night. Hunter is the everyday humans that have maybe experienced or had a run-in with some sort of monster. Could be a vampire, could be any number of other things that go up in the night. Yeah, I mean, it's all over, but these it's going to be a live play role-playing game series here on Twitch, showing off this brand new game that comes out next month. So tune in, enjoy that. It's going to be every week after the stream here on Wednesday nights. And if you're into role-playing games at all, it's going to be a really, really fantastic one. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Matt, thanks for coming and chatting and showing off the new stuff. I hope everybody's excited for Heart of Europe and all the events that are upcoming.
Yeah, I know the deck builders are excited by this new Haven shenanigans. So
now they just got to wait 2 more weeks to get more options.
All
right. Everybody have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.